All right, I'm hoping the neighbor's music doesn't cause a copyright strike here. He's apparently working on his car and playing music really loud. It might pick it up on this video. When it go live, there's a chance this video could end up deleted because of copyright violation due to loud music playing. Anyhow, I'm in the house, as you guys can see, and I have most of the walls painted. Not all of it. I ran out of paint. But have painted the kitchen the bright yellow, and the living room is that mint green. We have installed the little separator there to try to make things look a little bit cleaner. I think it looks, mostly done now. I still need to try to match the yellow paint and finish painting the closets. I guess not closet, but pantry, food pantry. And hoping today to clear all this mess out of here and to lay the floor. Because once the flooring is laid down, the vinyl floor right there is laid down, this house will start to look a little bit more complete. And then this weekend, I'm hoping to get the kitchen, the cabinets, so I can hopefully install them and get that all working. And if that goes smoothly, then the house is like mostly done, other than the second bedroom, which is a mess, because I've just been tossing everything in there. I'm in process of cleaning right now, just getting ready to move all this stuff, trying to figure out where I want to move the piles of stuff. In the meantime, I am cooking in here. You can see I'm baking some hamburger and cooking up some rice that I'll be eating with the hamburger. I guess it's better to call it steak burger. And I was thinking to myself how lucky I am to be able to cook and eat in my house, eat meat, especially as I sit here watching this video here. Those of you who want to cry, if you want to cry and you have access to YouTube, which hopefully you do, if you're watching this video, you probably have access to YouTube. Not Google, but YouTube, this title right here. World's Poorest Country, Burundi, Burundi. Okay, that's the title right there. It's got 5.2 million views, and it was just published, probably 2-3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. But this is the world's poorest country, Burundi. And if you watch this video, it is so sad. Right now they're saying that the country is mostly, where I paused it, the country is mostly Christian. 84% Christian, 2.5% Muslim, and the other is 13.5%. There's something else. But very sad country. It's in Africa. I think the southern part of Africa, southeast part of Africa. But anyhow, Google that title, not Google, YouTube that title if you want to see this video. I want to see how it really is to be in the world's poorest country. They're like much poorer than Thailand. Like Thailand, Asia. Thailand's actually not the poorest country in Asia. It's one of the richer ones. But it's pretty poor there. Like, I don't know what the average person there makes now. I think they make about $2,000 or $3,000 a year, in US dollars. But in Burundi, they make an average of less than $100, like $100 a year. Yeah, that's 100 US dollars in a whole year. People were like the prices of stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, they were like working and doing like heavy manual labor type stuff and earning like 3 cents. 3 cents. And then like the police, obviously, in a country like that, the police end up being corrupt. And then to bribe them, like, because they were going to threaten them arrest or something like that, you could bribe them with like $1.50. It's crazy numbers. But yeah, if you watch that, it's very sad. And, I'm thinking about it. I was like, my God, how can the world be like this? And, people talk about like the Nigerian scams and stuff like that coming out of Africa. When you look at how poor the people there are and how they live, maybe you might understand a little bit more why it occurs, But I really think that as a human, irregardless of what country you're from or what religion you are, um, there shouldn't be this much, what do you call it, differences between the haves and the have-nots. These people here really don't have. Like, let me put it this way. If you guys remember seeing the video of when I was living out in the woods, you know, in my little hut and all that, it was like about 1,000 times better than how these people had it. So, you know, I look at this house now and it's like, compared to what they have, this is like a palace. It's beyond a palace. They showed this lady's house on the video, and she basically built like a mud mound, and that's what she lives in. And then some of them got to the point where they don't even use money anymore. They just beg. That's what they do for a living. They just beg. And then everywhere you go in the country, people always come up to you if you're white, especially. You know, the guy I think filmed this is like French. They all come running up to you to beg for money, even the workers. But the workers, like they'll walk or carry stuff on their bicycle. If they have a bicycle, they're rich. But they'll carry stuff all day long to haul like farmers' stuff to take to the market in the city, because that's where they can sell in the city and make money. And for the whole day, they might make like you know, $1. You're riding like, you know, 12 hours, walking or riding into town, back and forth, and you make $1. So it's crazy. Anyhow, makes me kind of sad when I look at all the stuff I'm throwing away, you know, like leftover scraps and things like that, or the kind of stuff that we go through, like food waste, you know, in America. When you look at how much food we throw away, how like here in this country, we have a thing called expiry. You know, you look at the canned foods or whatever, and you go, oh, it's expired. I don't want it anymore. These people here, they don't even eat much meat. Not because they don't want meat, but because it's so expensive, you know, compared to what they have. So most of them grow food. They trade their food for other foods, and seem like good people, you know. But I can imagine that if you're a foreigner there, you might get scammed, you know, because they basically have nothing. So, you know, I don't know if it'd be a country I would want to visit, but other than if I went there maybe as part of a missionary or, you know, a mission or something to try to help the people out. But there's danger too, because the way the government is structured, they're set up in factions based on like ethnicity, like basically where they separate the people. Like who was it? Country, it wasn't French. It was gosh, what was that other country next to France or near France? One of the European countries had originally conquered or whatever, you know, this area. And Belgium, the Belgian people were the ones that took over this country during like World War II and stuff. So they brought with that, I guess, Christianity. They also taught them, you know, how to set up the government and stuff. So it's like European style. But obviously, this is anything like Europe. You know, they have their own monetary system. I think their largest bill is like 10,000 something franc. You know, I don't know. It's their monetary unit. The largest bill they have is like 10,000, and that is worth about $3 in US dollars. So that's their largest bill. You know, and the price of stuff is like, I think like for something like an milk or something might be like 2,000 of those units. So, you know, expensive to live there for the locals. A foreigner going to live there, you could live like a king, you know. That's assuming you could even have electricity, because lots of places don't have electricity, roads. Anyhow, enough of that. That's just sad stuff. But if you want to get sad, if you want to cry a little bit, if you want to feel a little bit better about what you have, and appreciate a little bit more what you have, even if it was a dog poop house, watch this video, world's poorest country, Burundi. And you will begin to appreciate even a dog poop house that you're in the middle of converting. And then you look at, you know, this whole house is being converted on a budget. I think we're going to hit about $4,000 or so, you know, maybe 5,000 total for conversion, not conversion, but renovation. Which to Burundi, one of these people here, They only make $100 a year, so that's what that would be five. It'd be 50 years worth of earnings to convert this house, and that's on a budget in America. I think most. I was watching because I'm doing renovations. So all these renovation videos are showing up on my YouTube feed, and I'm watching these people renovate their houses and stuff like the flippers and stuff. They're spending upwards of like $50,000 to $150,000 to renovate their house. I'm like, what the heck? $150,000 to renovate the house? Are you kidding me? Yeah, they were showing that they were buying. I'm like, these are the idiots buying the houses and jacking the prices up. So they were buying the houses, and I don't know where they're buying them, but they were getting them for $5,000, which to me is like really low for a real house, with the foundation and everything. But they were buying a $5,000 home and then putting in like $90,000 to renovate it. And then they sell it for about $150,000 to $200,000. It's making the prices go high. I don't know. They're doing it because the market's, allowing it. So if I bought a $5,000 home, I guess if it was your job, you considered it a job and an investment, and you had the money to get the stuff to really fix it right, you would do that, But yeah, spending $100,000 to fix up a house, and then some of them were using it as rental property. They'd rent it out. Some of them were fixing it up for resale. But I was looking at those houses like, wow. In certain places in America, this is in America, and these are pretty recent videos, like within the last 2 years. So it's still possible to pick up a house in America for under 10,000. I would say maybe even under 6,000. They were showing like houses between under 10,000 basically. But you pretty much have to pay cash, and I'm pretty sure they bought them at auction, like I did this house through the state or the county. Not the state, but the county. So there are houses out there. If you don't mind living in the middle of nowhere, or like dying towns that don't have people, that have a little tiny little city, you might be able to pick up a house for $5,000 or less, maybe even $2,000. Chances are, if you pick it up, it's going to look as bad or worse than this one did. But if you have a little bit of money and a little bit of skills, you don't have to be like a carpenter or anything like me. I'm not a carpenter. I don't know. My carpentry skill consists of 7th grade shop class. And you can see how terrible my cuts are, So, and it's still good enough. As long as it's better than living in a little hut in Burundi. Let me put it that way. And it wasn't even a hut. It was a mud pile. Okay. So, yeah, I'm looking here at your comments here. Guardian Studios says, hello, Guardian Studios. Guardian Studios says, third world countries are often devastated, but they find ways to live. But if you think about caveman times, they lived in a cave with no electricity and running water. That's true. And, the thing is, if you're poor, like when I could show you, maybe I'll find old pictures and show you how poor I used to live in Thailand. You don't really realize how poor you are until you see America. And I guess that's why people have American dreams, or Europeans. Like in America, if you watch documentaries, which I tend to watch on YouTube, like they'll show poor Americans, and they're like in Kentucky, Tennessee, the hills, the hill people, hillbillies. They tend to be some of the poorest people in the United States, but the way they live is still like a million times better than the poor people of Burundi. The poor people, like here, my neighborhood is pretty poor. Most, it's the developmental area here is all mobile homes. This is a poor side of town. And, even the government here, that's the thing, is like government, as much as you might want to complain about the United States government, it does somewhat try to help, I think it helps the rich more than it helps the poor, but it does help the poor in the sense that, I'm getting a delivery. Got a package. That's interesting. Hi there.
Hey.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have a great day, sir.
You too.
Thank you. Wow, I got a package. I wonder what the heck this is. Interesting. And he didn't throw it. That's UPS. Ignore those people who show you UPS dudes just driving by and throwing your packages. This guy walked right up to the door and personally handed it to me. So he's a great guy, and it's a poor neighborhood. So, you know, they don't. Apparently, UPS guys don't, what it is called, discriminate based on the neighborhood. I guess you're just either lucky and you have a good delivery dude or dudette, or you have a shitty one. Anyhow, I appreciate that he walked up. Now I'm curious what it is. I wasn't expecting a package, so it's kind of weird. But did I order something? I don't think I ordered anything. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and try to clear all this up. Next time you see this video on the house update, hopefully the floor will be in, maybe even the kitchen. And like I said, if you want to, you know, feel not so bad about this, I'm trying to decline it. All right, I don't know if you guys, I tried to decline that. I've been getting a scam call for somebody that's not even me. So, you know, they somehow have my number. So anyhow, I'm getting all these calls that aren't for me. It's for somebody else I'm trying to track down. So, if you want to not feel so sad for yourself, there's always somebody somewhere else that's worse off than you. Not that that should make you feel better, but it might make you appreciate more what you have, even if it looks like junk. Okay? There are what you consider junk, another person might not consider junk, like you know, like shoes. The people here, they pretty much don't wear shoes. They all walk around barefoot because they can't afford shoes. You know, I remember in Thailand, I didn't have shoes either, and you know, when I did have shoes, my mom, because you know she had an American boyfriend at the time, the U.S. soldier, which, you know, soldiers don't get paid much. If you look at how American soldiers, they get paid some of the lowest pay compared to civilian pay. But in other countries, a U.S. soldier is usually considered super rich. And it was the same case in Thailand. I think he gave my mom some money, and she bought me some rubber boots. So I was the only kid in the village that had boots. And I wore those boots, those rain boots, everywhere. Come up and envy me. You know, it's like I guess in America, the kids who have, what is it, the Air Jordans or whatever, but you know, I'm showing my age. They probably have newer shoes now. Air Jordans are how many years old now? But wearing shoes that are like super, super expensive. Just the fact that you have any shoes at all in Thailand when I was a kid, and mine weren't just shoes, they were boots. They were rubber boots, brand new rubber boots with pictures on them, colorful pictures of a race car. You know, I was considered the luckiest kid in the neighborhood. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, but I think I will go ahead and read some of your comments here. Mel Larson says, cavemen didn't have bills or mortgages, though. No, they didn't, but here's the issue. Cavemen didn't have government. So, you know, they kind of had to fend for themselves. And, of course, it was rough living back then. But when you have governments, the whole point of a government is that, you know, the government is supposed to take care of its people. And certain countries, that's not what's happening. The government is not able to care for its people. So something needs to be done. The government needs to an overhaul or something. You know, like even in America and other first world countries, you know, you guys know about first world, second world, third world. Well, first world countries, the government generally, for the most part, functions. Okay, it's supposed to protect its citizens. It's supposed to protect its the country itself. You know, the people who live there. So the people of Burundi and stuff, I think that's where you hear a lot of the in Africa. You hear a lot of the civil wars going on. It's because they have segregated the people by tribes based upon their skeletal features and stuff. They can trace their heritage. The other thing I noticed, you know, I'm not going to talk too much about it because the last time I talked about this topic, my video got deleted by YouTube. So I'm afraid of dealing with sensitive topics like this. But let me put it this way: the people here have lots of babies, and they make like about $1 a day, and they have about 8 kids to feed, or more, and that's how the situation is. So you know. You wonder about the policies that are being set forth by certain parties, you know, certain people, certain groups. part of it is that, some people don't like what happens in China, but the Chinese, their government, when you look at it, was actually trying to do something to prevent something like this from happening over there. And if you're not even aware that this kind of stuff happens, or what happens when you have overpopulation and you don't have enough resources, you see all these, I guess, first world countries protesting policies of second or third world countries. They have those policies because they're having issues that they can't resolve, at least not based upon first world. I think Belgium is that first or second world? I'd have to look it up and see what Belgium is classified as. But Belgium was the one that gave them their government system and stuff. Because when they became independent, when Burundi became independent, it followed the model that was left behind by the Europeans. And, what was interesting was where I left off, the French dude was asking them if they were angry at the Europeans, the Belgians, and the people there said no, they're actually very thankful for them. They came and they were like tutors. They educated them. They taught them things. Now, it makes you wonder, because you look at how poor it is, and somebody had mentioned about cavemen, I think back then the people would have been like the Bushmen, the Africans that you see with the spears running around getting chased by cheetahs. So maybe living in the mud hole, making $1, or making no money, or riding your bicycle 20 miles, 40 miles a day, delivering sugarcane or whatever that you can grow, is better than being chased by a tiger or a lion, So, yeah, you have to look at it from that perspective. But, from a European or developed country, Western viewpoint, when you look at it, you cry. I mean, I don't know how any human could look at it and not cry, because I'm like, oh my God. I came from Thailand, which was pretty poor, but when I watch these people, I'm like, oh my God. So I'm trying to figure out if there's, I think what would help them, but they don't have the infrastructure. Just imagine this. If they had access to YouTube, and they had a channel that was even as poor as my channel, okay? My channel doesn't get many views or make much revenue, but it makes right now it makes about every month I earn about 2 years, a little bit under 2 years worth of what they earn in a whole year, every month. And that's with the crappy content. So if somebody there had a YouTube channel, even with crappy content, as long as it was monetized and making money, and in US dollars, they could make in 1 month what a person takes a whole year to make over there. That's how poor they are. And that person could do better, but then I don't know, if you had all the people, I think there's 12 million people in that country. If a whole bunch, and what's really sad about it, they were saying statistically, there's 12 million people there, but 65% of those people are children. They're under 16 years old. 65% of their population is children. Because I told you, those people are having babies like crazy. The average family has 6 to 10 to 12 babies. And then they lose about 1 or 2 or 3. They just die from starvation or, malnourishment. The people born there with missing limbs. People are born there deformed. They don't have enough nutrients. So I think that as a world, I don't know, I feel kind of sad because I remember the 80s. Remember they used to have Feed Africa and all those things like World Aid and all that. The musicians and stuff would do all these special events that they would try to raise money to feed Africa and stuff. I don't know whatever became of that. Oh man, I think my food's burning. Yep, I'm gonna unplug this guy. Food's a little bit burnt. Let me get my food out. It's all right. I like my hamburger a little crispy. Steak burger. So yeah, it's not too bad. I think it's cooked. So we're gonna end up having that with rice. So it's kind of like steak. What I'm eating here is probably more meat than what they get for the whole year. So it's kind of Gaping in it. Okay, Chance says you left out a detail, Denoy. Those folks are not causing the market to rise. There are more people than houses. That is what is driving the market higher. I think the people aren't making the house prices go up. What's happening is the demand. You're saying there's more people, possibly more people, and I don't want to get too much into the political stuff or even the. I wish I could talk deep stuff without being blocked. But whenever I talk about really deep stuff, YouTube seems to be deleting my content, finding some reason to delete it. But I will say that it's the law of supply and demand. There are a lot of people who need houses. So my big tip for you right now, if you're in America or maybe some other I don't know how it works in other countries that are developed, but in America, for most of America, look up tax deed auctions. Okay, that's how I got my house. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm fairly certain that those investors on those YouTube channels, they're selling ebooks to try to, I'm like, dude, your videos get 50 million views, and that's not enough for you. 50 million views or whatever, they're getting a lot of money off their YouTube. They're also selling an ebook, but you can't blame them. They're capitalists. So they try to make money off every little bit of it. So information that they want to give out on it, they make an ebook for sale, and I guess if you really want the information, which is actually valuable information, you pay it. They make their money on it. That's how capitalism works, okay? And meanwhile, they continue making money off their YouTube video, and they make money off their investment. So what you do leads to a lot of money. So the more money you have, the more opportunities you have to make money. But if you're starting small, try to save some money. My advice is if you can save at least $10,000 cash in hand. And if you don't care, now this is for a living, not for investment. If you're investing, you're probably going to need more money and you have to do all this stuff a bit more. But if you're just needing a home, you want to become homeless, you're about to lose your home, whatever, try to save $10,000 cash. Look for a place in the middle of nowhere, like a little county somewhere, maybe in your state or maybe in another state, and look up their tax deed sales, or call. Some of them may not be online. You can call the county tax appraiser's office and ask them about tax deed sales. They have, keep in mind, it's not just tax deed. How the tax deed sales work is people can't pay their property taxes. And if they can't pay, like usually over 5 years, the house goes up for auction. The county wants their tax money. So the tax deed investors, what they do is they say, we'll pay your taxes for you, but you got to pay us back plus interest. And then if the people can't pay them back what they owe on the taxes plus the interest for the investors, then the county forces a sale. So those people essentially get kicked out of their house. And then whatever the house sells for, the county takes its cut for the tax that was owed on it plus the interest, and then pays the investors the money. The leftovers, they get paid what they invested plus interest. And then what's left over, because people are bidding on it, the price can go high. And this is where the investors drive the price up. They take that money and they give it to the person who owns the house, used to own the house. So they give it back to them, assuming they're still alive. If they're dead, that money goes into a pile, and then you can't really get it, which is bullshit. Which is kind of what happened to me. I was trying to get the money back because the price got so crazy. On this bid on this house, it went crazy high. But I fought for it, and I paid the highest because I wanted a house, because I knew my plans to go to Thailand were being diverted due to COVID. So what I had tried to save for money to go to Thailand, I ended up diverting to pay for a house. And I had to get a house in this area. And you're like, why would you do that? When you were saying that you can get a house for $2,000, why would you get one that's so high? Because this is where I have a job. So if you're having to work, you're going to have to work with your area, wherever you live, and you're going to have to try to get it in that area and get a house near where you work. But if you're retired, like you're on disability, you're on pension, you're on whatever, you're on a very fixed income of like $500-600 a month, you really shouldn't be renting. You should be trying to save that money up and buying your own property and having it paid free and clear. Because, when you pay rent, even if $500-600, $700 a month, they can jack it up, and then you could be homeless again. But if you own your own land, you own the house, especially if you're getting a cheap area, like you might be living in a poor side of town, okay, the tax on it's going to be pretty low because the property's not worth much. So, some people will look at this house and say, you bought a piece of junk. Yeah, but it's free and clear. I don't have to pay anything on it other than utilities and taxes every year so that they don't put this thing up for auction, you know. So the cost of living drops way down. I know people who rent mobile homes or buy mobile homes in a mobile home park, and they still have to pay like $500 to $700 a month to be there. Or those people that say that, I watch the YouTube channels with the people in the tiny home saying they want to live comfortably and cheaply, but then they go and they park in an RV park and pay $600 to $800 a month to park their tiny home. I'm like, what the? You could have rented an apartment, but I don't know. I guess they do it because they would rather have their own house than an apartment. And in some ways, it's a little bit more private than an apartment. And if you don't like it, you can move, and for them, maybe some of the places they go, apartments might run as much as $2,000 a month. So maybe for them, $600 or $800 a month to park your tiny home is cheap. For me, $600 to $800 a month, I could rent an apartment or something, or a room or something, or I can save that for about 2 years and buy a house with my own land. So look into tax deed sales. Syndicate says, haven't seen me in a long time, but I see you're doing way better, man. Yeah, I got lucky in some ways, with the situation. My part-time job with the temp agency ended up becoming a full-time job, and the company that I'm working for likes me, which is good. So they've been working with me, even as far as hours and stuff. I was working full-time for a while, for about a year, and I've asked to get cut back. And some people think that's foolish because, you can work full-time, make a lot of money. But what's the point of making money? The point of making money is so you can buy stuff. Well, I got the house now, and I do need to make some more money to prepare for my world travel, because I'm planning on traveling the world here next. But if I stayed working full-time, then all my time is being spent working for somebody else. So, I talked to them about it, because they knew I wasn't planning on staying. I was supposed to be in Thailand right now. I wasn't even supposed to have this house. But the way it ended up, I ended up with the house. I had enough money saved that I could get the house. And now I'm looking to save money to travel the world, but that's not enough. I'm not just looking to save money. I'm looking to generate money while I'm traveling. So the plan is to increase this YouTube back up, the YouTube channel, as well as work on some of the projects that will earn money even as I travel. So, if you stay tuned, you get to see that development. Right now, I'm in a pretty good position because I have this house. I also have the land. Remember the off-grid land that I bought? I'm thinking of selling that. The reason for selling that off-grid land is it's hard for me to get to. You really need a 4x4 truck, 4x4 truck that can handle mud and water and all sorts of crazy stuff. So I'm thinking of selling that land that I bought. I bought that land originally because I wasn't going to buy this house. I was going to buy that land and then put a little camp on it. You're not allowed to build a house out there, but you can set up a camp, like a hut or something, or even take a container, shipping container home or something out there. So I was going to go build a little tiny house, not a permanent house, but a camp, if you want to call it that, and have it at the off-grid location so that I had a home when I came back to America. Because the plan was to travel the world and then come back to America and then maybe have a place to stay while I recoup and then go back and travel again. But because I got this house and it's like in the middle of the city, that's one of the reasons the price is so high. I'm not in the middle of nowhere. I'm actually very close to everywhere. I'm close to the Space Center. I'm close to Orlando. I'm close to the beach. It's actually very good position, good spot. Let me put it this way. Some of the houses around here, not in the poor neighborhood, they're like multi-million-dollar homes, just within walking distance. If I wanted to walk there, I could walk to a multi-million-dollar house, which is kind of crazy. It's like they have one neighborhood that's like super, super poor, and then right next to it is all these multi-million-dollar homes. It's crazy. Mel Larson says, any U.S. citizens are considered rich in third world countries. Indeed. When they see, it's not just U.S. citizens, when they see white people. The Thai people call white people and foreigners, even black people, I guess, are called Farangs. I never heard the black people called Farangs, but I've heard that, from foreigners that they say they call them that. But when I was in Thailand, we called foreigners Farang, which is like white people. And generally they were Westerners, mostly from America, sometimes from Europe. They were always seen as having more money because they didn't flinch, when something costs, like in Thailand, at the time, $1 was worth 24 bahts. So right now, $1 is worth like 30 bahts. So, for an American, they would put $1 on something, but for a Thai person, that was like almost like $24 to $30. Like at that time when $1 was 24 baht, in Thailand you could buy breakfast for about 2 baht. So 2 baht, which would be about what, 5 or 10 cents, you could buy breakfast in Thailand. So Americans and Europeans are considered rich by most third world countries. And I know some Americans get really angry at poorer countries for wanting to come here, but they don't understand that over here, you can't buy breakfast for 10 cents or 5 cents, like in their country. Like in Burundi, they could buy a whole meal. This lady was making and selling sweet potatoes and stuff for 3 cents. You could get a whole serving. You could get a plate of food with like beans and potatoes for maybe about 4 or 5 cents in Burundi. 4 or 5 cents you can get. I mean, that's not much of a meal. But if you're hungry, 4 cents to eat, and you're eating well, okay, 4 cents, because a lot of those people can't even afford that, and they're starving to death, literally. But when they see an American, they think, oh my gosh, these people have, now they're making $15 an hour. Actually, I went to Walmart, and I saw Walmart sign, and they said they were hiring at $12 an hour, and I'm like, because they have everywhere they have a shortage at Walmart, but they say they're only hiring at $12 an hour when everyone's saying they want $15 an hour. So I keep looking at those signs and I say they're gonna raise it up, because if the people don't take that $12 an hour, then they're gonna have to raise it up. And I just drove by looking at gas now. Gas in this area is now about $3.40, $3.50 a gallon. So I'm like, okay, if you were paying $10 an hour before, and gas is now 3 times more expensive or 2 times more expensive, okay, then you need to pay about $20 an hour. So even $15 an hour is now still low. So I don't know. Here's a secret too, a really big secret for those of you who want to know how to survive. Money has no real value. It can go up or down depending on inflation, okay? So the biggest thing you can do for yourself is try to buy property and things that no matter what the price is, you still have it. So like one of the things, you're like, well, I don't want to buy a house or something, but yeah, like food. See, once I buy the rice at a certain price, even if they jack it up next week, I still have it. So I'm going to start stockpiling, because rice, I think, lasts forever. I'm going to start stockpiling rice before they keep jacking the price up even more. I just keep stockpiling food. So that way, food that doesn't spoil. I don't know how long ketchup lasts, but remember, these things used to be $1 at Dollar Tree. I think they're now about $1.25. Now this is Walmart's, which used to be 99 cents, but I think it's probably about $1.25 now. So it's gone up like 25%, 25%. Okay. But if you had the ketchup when you bought it for 99 cents, you just made 25% more money. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you can buy tangible items, not saying to collect junk, but things like house, property, land, they can't screw you over. If you're paying rent, they say, well, a dollar's not worth as much, so the rent now went up. So what you used to pay $1,000 a month for rent, you might have to pay $1,500 a month. So by having your own property and your own land and stuff, you're safe from that. You're protected. So, having a job and renting, I think, is probably not as efficient or as smart as having a job and using that money to buy your own property, and then that way no matter what the price goes up or down on that property, you still have it. You still have that security. Like I don't know if it was Brazil. No, was it Brazil? No, it wasn't Brazil. Argentina? No, it wasn't Argentina. Well, it was one of the countries. Maybe it was. It was one of the South American countries where they had such high inflation that even a million pesos or whatever didn't buy anything. It was worthless. Their money was worthless. But say if you had a house or whatever, no, then your house would be a gazillion pesos or whatever on the value, so nobody could afford to buy it. The house really doesn't change the value of the house. So even like right now with the housing stuff, people say, well, the price is high and all that. Yeah, because the dollar is worth less. And they're like, well, that's because of inflation stuff. Yeah, but see, if you can get the property, the earlier you can get a property and hold on to it, the more safe you are, because it doesn't matter then what the price is. You have that property, you have that place to live. But if the price keeps going up, some people say, well, I'll sell it and I'll make a profit. Not really, because what happens is, let's say you buy a house. Let's just get hypothetical. Let's go crazy on this house. Let's say I buy this house and I spend $10,000 on it. Then it goes up to $100,000 and I sell it. I'm like, dang, I could make $90,000 profit. Then I go to try to buy another house and they're all $200,000. I lost money. I'm an idiot. So, if you're just looking at pure numbers, it's no good. You got to look at the numbers and what it'll actually buy. Same with gasoline. Like people say, well, the price of gasoline is not $3, $4 where it used to be $1 or something. It's still the same. I mean, they're just jacking it up because the dollar's worth less. But if you had that gasoline already stockpiled or whatever, it doesn't affect you. So the more that you can set up like your own garden, the more stuff that you can get where you don't have to keep using cash money to buy stuff, the better. And some people think that investing, like right now I have some money in crypto and I'm investing in other things just because I don't want to totally disconnect, because I need to buy stuff from the society. Like airplane tickets to travel, because I can't fly. I don't have wings. But if you invest in crypto and it goes up, some people think they actually made money on it. Kinda. You only make money if you sell, and the value of what you got in the money that you sold it for, and the currency that you sold it for, can buy more. But if you sell it and the currency can't buy as much, then you didn't really make any money at all. It's like like I said, those people who buy the houses for $100,000, they fix it all up, they sell it for $300,000. They think they did great, but meanwhile, all the houses are going for $300,000. So they didn't do any better. The house, they spent $300,000. They can get the same crappy house. So it didn't really go up. Okay, Christian wants to know the title of the film. Okay, this is it right here. I'm going to bring it back up to those who are tuning in a little bit late. If you want to feel a little bit better about yourself or feel sorry for some people and cry potentially, it's on YouTube. It's called World's Poorest Country, Burundi, Burundi. Burundi. And it says, I can't forget the things I saw. It's on a channel called Discover with Ruhi Sinet. It's some French dude. But, there are other videos of other countries. But this country, if you watch it, you go, oh, my God. Then you look at yourself and then you say, I might not have the latest shoes. I might not have the greatest shoes. I bought these from Goodwill. They're Reeboks. But they're metal tip. And I think I paid like $20 or $25 or $30 for these. But I think in retail, they're probably about $70. They actually have steel toes on them. So, and like I said, watching other people who are poor shouldn't make you feel better, but it does make you appreciate a little bit more what you have. Guardian Studio says society is declining, social ladder climbs and spirals. There are so many changes. Resources run out due to unresolved issues, people fighting and stinginess. Yeah, that's why a lot of people, I think, are trying to get off grid or wanting to live in a van and just get away from it all. I think that's the big thing is like people just want to, it's too much. They're overwhelmed. For me, I'm trying to disappear, but it's kind of hard. being on YouTube and disappearing. But I'm still debating. I may end up completely leaving YouTube and all social media, you know, just to disappear. But I think that I'm on YouTube for a reason. That it wasn't totally random that I ended up on YouTube. It was never something that I wanted to be, but I ended up because of my situation, and YouTube helped me, to survive. And it's actually a pretty good platform for teaching. So, some people have contacted me personally and said they appreciate, the information I put out because it helps them. So to that extent, I would want to keep the YouTube, and maybe even stuff about the tax deed house. Maybe it'll help somebody not be homeless in America, and other places where you can take advantage of that. But for poor countries like this, I'd like to be able to do something for them, I think about like, man, if I sent somebody $100 over there, for them, that's a whole year's salary. What would you do if somebody gave you $100? I mean, not $100, but a whole year's salary in America, or in Europe, or wherever you're listening or watching us from. That's like a huge windfall. But the issue for me is like, I don't know if they could do much with it, Their country, I think the people probably don't have internet. Internet would be extremely limited. The phones they were using, like he was showing you the phones they were using. They're still using the old style, like even before the flip phones. Do you remember how they had the phone with the push buttons? They're cellular phones, so they're using cell technology, but they don't have smartphones. They're using the cell phones, but they're not even a flip. Remember, cell phones started off with the little handheld, palm held, and then it ended up being the flip phones. So it's a generation before the flip phones. So that's what they're using over there. And with that, I think they would have a hard time connecting to the internet. Without the internet, they don't really see how the rest of the world is. In some ways, that's good, because if they saw how the rest of the world is, there might be a lot more revolts. People are usually happy until they can see, hey, everybody else is living much better than us. Why are we putting up with this crap? And I think that's what they, that's the one thing the internet has done is made people more depressed, I think, and made people who are in a poorer situation more depressed because they see how everyone else is. And I don't know if it reversed for the people who are doing well off, if they see the poor people and go, man, we're lucky to be how we are and what we have. I don't know if those people are as appreciative as the other people are angry. Ornament Design says, then we have billionaire philanthropists. Actually, I was looking at that, and they say Elon Musk like donated the leader, the president of the United Nations, put out a challenge for Elon Musk. He said that if Elon Musk would give even like 10% income or whatever, he could end world starvation. And then Elon says, if you can put it in a tweet, okay, if you could put it into a tweet and address what you would do with that money and stuff, I'll make that money available. And apparently, Elon has made $6 billion available. They say that he's they're not sure if he's giving it. They know that he pulled out $6 billion of his own money to I don't know if it's his money or Tesla's money, but he pulled out $6 billion, and he's donating it to charity. And it's supposed to go to the United Nations, but he's not giving it directly to the president of the United Nations because I guess he doesn't trust him. So, he's the one billionaire that I think might actually do what he says and actually does care, even though some people think that, he's so rich and all he thinks about is himself and stuff. I think he's trying to save humanity. I can't get too technical and stuff because, like I said, every time I talk about stuff that might be very relevant and very important, my videos tend to get deleted. Now, somebody was saying you could put it as entertainment. I don't know if you're putting it as entertainment, if they would... If you saw my videos, you'll understand what I'm talking about. There are people listening and watching. So, not to sound like I'm one of those paranoid people and stuff like that, but I'd rather just steer clear right for now of those topics because I'm not ready to disappear off the internet yet. Now, Guardian Studio says if people start investing more, then taxes will continue to rise. Yep, the stock market. I was using an app. I'm using an app called Duolingo to learn Spanish, but you can use it to learn different languages, and you can run it for free by watching ads. And the majority of the ads on there are for like investments, like crypto as well as stock investments. So I was watching it, and I ended up downloading some of that stuff, and I might try some of those investments. But I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? The generation nowadays, the young people nowadays, using smartphones and things like that to play games, and they don't even have to buy them anymore. The games, a lot of them, you can watch the ads, and if you're poor or cheap like me, I'm not poor, but I'm cheap. If you'd rather just watch the ads, then you can play the stuff for free. So I was learning foreign language. I'm trying to learn Spanish because, when I travel the world, there might be areas that speak Spanish, and I might need to know Spanish. So it kept running all these ads for stock market and things like that, all these things that help you buy things. And I was thinking that it's going to make these young people investors at a young age, which can be good, but it's also setting them up for society and basically the values of society, which is that the more money you have, the better, So in some ways, I'm looking at the whole generation here being brainwashed to believe that you have to have money. You have to have lots of money. The more money you have, the more successful you are, And there's nothing I can really do about it because that's how the system is structured right now. And as a software developer, I might have to do that, even though it's something I really don't agree with. But the kids nowadays, they won't buy a product outright. They won't buy a game. That's, of course, it's on a console and they don't have a choice. But for like a phone and stuff, they would rather get it for free and then buy microtransactions like $2, $5, $1 and keep paying every month, or paying to buy an upgrade, like just a fancy skin, if you want to call it that, for their character or whatever. I really didn't want to do that kind of stuff, but as I look at trying to make money on the road, when I'm traveling, whether it by boat, by air, by foot, whatever, I need to make money so I can pay for society stuff like airplanes, train rides, hospital bills, insurance, things like that. I have to make income, so I may have to play the game and also write my software, so that it generates those same revenues, which to me is kind of sad because it kind of goes against how I feel. But once again, I'm stuck in this world, this society, the way it behaves. And unless I want to be totally off grid and just living by myself without traveling or anything like that, I'm going to have to do what they say to do, which is make money. Guardian Studio says, a wise man once said, less is more and more is less. I think contentment comes when you realize you don't need anything. Like right now, when I go into a store, I don't really feel I need anything. The only thing I need, this is what I need right now. I need to buy some new underwear. And that's only because I work, and I need to buy some new t-shirts because that's what I wear at my job. So those will be bought new. I might buy a couple more jeans, and I generally buy them used from Goodwill. But I don't really need the latest, greatest. I did splurge on a TV, that was just something nice. I didn't need it. Could have bought a used one, but got a nice new one with smart, TV capabilities and stuff, just because I had the money and because I wanted to splurge, But there's a lot of things I don't need, like even the paint, but I wanted it. I want it to look nice. Like the trim here, I think it's like $3 or $4 for that little stick of trim, which to me is bullshit. This little piece of plastic here at Home Depot is like $3.49 or something for one little strip. $3.49. That's what a person in Brunei earns in about 3 or 4 days of hard working, manual labor, to make that little strip of plastic or whatever, which is bullshit. But this is where I live, though. So, for them, they would look at me and say, that Thai American dude is super rich. He can afford to pay 3 days worth of work for a little piece of plastic. They'll also think that American is pretty stupid. Renting a one bedroom in Sarasota is now $1,500 to $2,000 a month. That is crazy. I haven't checked the latest rental here. I know, my wife and I were forced out of rental when they jacked up the rent. I think we were paying for a 2-bedroom apartment here on the East Coast of Florida, Central Florida, $1,200 a month, and I think they were trying to jack it up to like 14. And we were like, we can't afford to keep paying that, so we moved out, and then I moved into my van. Hello, Teresa Sue. Good to see you on here. Janet, an old lady. She says gas in California is $4.70 or so per gallon. That's more than $1. It's about $1.50 more than here. $1.30 more than it is in Florida for living in California right now for gasoline. Ornament Design says energy prices are rising across Europe. Yeah. One of the things I'm thinking of doing is, I don't know if you guys remember my my rocket stove that I made from the pot. I think I'm gonna start digging that out and cooking again with it, because I was thinking we have like a barbecue pit that we bought, not buy, but my wife picked up, that somebody was getting rid of, and we use it to burn wood, but it's pretty big, so I can cook a lot at once. But most of the time when I'm cooking for like 1 or 2 people. So I was thinking maybe I will dig that up and do some more cooking episodes and show people, if you have a yard with trees and branches and stuff, you can use that little stove to cook outside. That's how I plan on cooking. And then I don't have to pay for electricity, which I'm using right now, which once I get set up, I'm going to start using the sun again. So this is only 300 watts, but I'm using city gridded electricity, and I know that rice cooker can run off my solar panels completely. So I'm going to hook that up to a solar system for cooking. So, unlike those people who do solar cooking and they show how they make the solar oven with the sun and stuff, I'm going to be using solar cooking, but using electricity for like the rice cooker and the toaster oven. So you can use modern appliances with solar. And then, if I can do it like that, it won't save a lot. I mean, it'll save a little bit, but I think over the year I could save maybe a couple hundred or a couple $1,000s in electric bills, which I'm going to end because I got to eat. This is getting cold. And Janet says I've talked her into keeping her place even when she gets a van. I think that would be a wise thing to do, Janet. Try to secure your home. Make sure it doesn't leak. You have a home base to come to if you decide that, you need a break from van dwelling. The other thing you might be able to do, but, it's risky, is finding somebody to rent it while you're traveling. The problem with rental is if you find a bad person, they could trash your whole place or even, burn it down or something. So that's a risk you take. But if you leave it empty, you know how that went. I think in your previous video, you talked about how people trashed your place when you weren't there. So I think it might be a good idea to go rental, rent your place out when you're traveling. But if you can fix it, that's even better, if you can fix it without spending too much money. One of the biggest things you can do is paint. Paint is expensive nowadays. Like I think that was about $20, $30 for a gallon. But look what paint does. Look what paint did. Well, of course I replaced the panels and stuff because I had to in this house. But paint, look what it did to this room. Remember how crappy it looked before? It's like paint. Paint makes a huge difference. And then, once I lay the vinyl floor down, this room will look like a newer room, So it'll look like a real modern, not super modern, but a nice normal house. More modern on the modern side. Now I painted that cabinet up here. I know you can't see with that bright light, but cabinet's just painted, So it's not super new or anything, but it looks better. It looks okay. Joe, good to see you on here. And Ornament Design said the country I was talking about with the crazy inflation was Venezuela. Yeah, those poor people. I think a loaf of bread was like $10 million, 10 million pesos or something. Can you imagine 10 million pesos for a loaf of bread? They were throwing money down. It was costing more to print the money than the money was worth. You could use the money to burn as fuel. Janice says, title them educational. I don't think YouTube cares how you title the videos or what your channel is. It's certain topics are being blocked by certain groups. Ornament design says can mention as curiosity. Smartphones will be given almost free of charge to all poorest people in the world because it's necessary to make the world cashless. I think that if the world actually cared, you know how people expect the billionaires, the rich people, to take care of the poor? I think that's the wrong way to go about it. I think the correct way to go about it is to all join hands, rich or poor, and help one another. I don't know if you know, some of my biggest contributors on this channel, the people who helped me a lot, they're not rich. And I wouldn't say they're the poorest group, but they're by no means millionaires. Yet they either donated what little cash they could spare, or they donated their knowledge and their time. Some people who didn't have much money, they were running my videos, to try to generate income for this channel because they knew that I was using it to live off. So if you can get people to care, that's why I was pointing people to this video, and it's already got 5.2 million views. It's only a couple weeks old. I'm hoping more of the world sees it, especially more of the world that has the ability to help these poor people. But it's not just these poor people. I know trying to help somebody in Africa, in Burundi, people, when they see someone this poor, they're like, maybe we should all pour money in and help. I'm saying don't even just look at that. Look at your own neighborhood. Look at your own country. Look at your own city. What can you do to help the people here? And I know some people say, well, you can help with soup kitchens and things like that. Yeah, help with that, but that's a temporary solution. You need to get them out of that situation where they're homeless or hopeless. You need to get them to the situation where they're like me, able to at least buy a junky house and fix it up. I think if you just bought a house and built it and gave it to them, you're not going to fix the problem. You're probably going to make it worse. They're going to trash it because it has no value to them. I think if you can teach people how to survive, how to make their own money, how to make sure they don't fall back into that situation, like learning how to live in a vehicle, learning how to grow your own food without, having to have a farm, or learning how to save money by stockpiling certain things. Those are skills that you can use to keep people from dropping to that level where they're on the streets. And when people are on the street, some people don't like, they say, you shouldn't give people handouts. But sometimes that's what it takes initially, otherwise they die. I sometimes look at people and they put down those who need help. And they don't understand that when somebody's drowning and there's sharks biting, the first thing you need to do is pull their ass out of the water. You say, well, you're just handing it to them. You're just pulling them out. If you don't pull them out, they get eaten. And you're like, well, you should teach them. You can't teach them when they're being bitten. You gotta get them to a safe zone. Then you can work with them, and not all of them are going to be workable. Some people, they like handouts, and those people you can't help. But there are a lot more that you can help. So, for instance, once in a while you deserve something brand new and nice. Yeah, that's what makes life. That's what makes life happy. I know some people say you don't need anything to have happiness, but sometimes treating yourself to a nice meal, I think it's important to treat yourself nicely because money really has no value. When you die, all of this house, everything, even Elon, his spaceships, his company, you can't take it with him. So it's important to try to enjoy life while you still have it. And what little you have, try to enjoy, but also understand that there are people who are always worse off than you. And if you can help and you want to help, you don't have to help. Don't feel guilty. Don't have people guilt you into helping. But if you don't want to help, it's okay. But if you want to help, there's something to be said about helping other people. Anyhow, I am going to go ahead and sign out because I want to eat my food before it gets cold and I want to clean this all out. So I will get you guys an update when it happens. Make sure you check out this video. World's Poorest Country, Burundi. The video is by this Discover with Ruhi Sinet. Or Signet is probably how they pronounce it if he's French. Although I don't read French, so maybe I'm mispronouncing it. But check out this video if you want to see how really poor is. Take care, everybody. God bless you all. I hope that you're staying safe wherever you are. And if you're feeling down and out, Remember, there's probably somebody worse off than you, and it doesn't lessen your situation, your pain and suffering, and I do pray for you. But remember also that you have opportunities that certain people in certain countries don't even have. So take advantage of those opportunities. God bless you all. Take care. Bye-bye now.